presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Force. We are the Force.
Last night was an eventful evening at the Trop as the Rays honored Derek Jeter in a pregame ceremony. Then fireworks erupted in the 8th inning, clearing both benches. Tonight, right-hander Alex Cobb goes to the hill, looking to continue his dominance over New York in Derek Jeter's final game against Tampa Bay. Tonight's Wednesday Showdown is brought to you by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. Tonight at Tropicana Field, the Rays will wrap up this series against the New York Yankees. For the Rays, they're looking for a sweep of this series. They've already won the season series, winning 11 of the first 18 games. Derek Jeter making his final appearance here at Tropicana Field. He is in the lineup, hitting second. And, of course, playing shortstop. Hi again, everyone, and welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Stats. So good to have you with us as the Rays try to make it 3 straight over the Yankees, and they'll send Alex Cobb to the hill. And, B.A., he seems to get better each and every time he goes to the mound lately.
Well, how about this? In his last 12 starts, Alex Cobb has given up 2 earned runs or fewer in all 12. I mean, he is on some kind of streak, and it culminated in his last time out. He didn't get a win to show for this, unfortunately, but he was outstanding up at Yankee Stadium, pitching into the 8th inning. Didn't give up that hit until there was 1 out in the 8th inning. He, of course, come around to score, but Alex Cobb has been so outstanding. As you take a look at the hit right there, at making in-game adjustments. Not only that, he hasn't made a whole lot of mistakes, not a lot of pitches finding the middle of the plate. He continues to use that formula with his 3 very good pitches. He should have another stellar outing tonight.
Cobb goes for win number 10 tonight. He's 9-7. Brandon McCarthy has pitched very well for the Yankees since coming over from Arizona, in with a record of 6-4 and a nifty 2.54 ERA. Last night, the Rays paid tribute to Derek Jeter, but late in the game, there was a different kind of fireworks and excitement. Todd Callis explores all that when we return.
A little interesting late with the Rays leading 6-1. Derek Jeter's final at bat of the night. He was behind in the count 0-2, and Steve Geltz would try and go outside. Instead, he missed location badly, went up and in, and as you can see, it would hit Jeter on the hand. That would fire up Jeter's skipper. Joe Girardi came out, had a few words for Geltz, the rookie right-hander, and also on his way out after being ejected, had a few more words to say. And then Kevin Kiermaier in the next half inning had one inside. David Phelps would be ejected after the warnings were issued and the benches would clear. Sean Rodriguez was pretty heated on the Rays bench. All that leads to tonight, Game 3 of this series. We caught up with both Joes, Girardi and Madden. Here were their thoughts after the game.
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of my guys getting hit and where they're getting hit. I'm tired of it. You're going to pitch inside, learn how to pitch inside. You pitch down in the zone. You don't pitch up. Yeah, I mean, we're not. This is not practice. This is guys' livelihood.
I really don't blame the Yankees for being upset right there. We've hit a couple of their guys. Obviously, none of it intentional. It's called baseball. It happens once in a while, and it's nothing that we want to do. It's nothing you apologize for. It's just part of the game. So I do understand their frustration with it and why they were upset.
So we'll see how tonight plays out. One thing we do know, Derek Jeter plays against the Rays for the final time in his career, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. We'll have all the game action, a couple of righties tonight. Brandon McCarthy on the mound for New York, Alex Cobb on the mound for the Rays. Wayne Stats and Brian Anderson with all the action next on Sunsport.
Baseball tonight at Tropicana Field. Rays against the New York Yankees. Rays coming in, having won 3 straight with a mark of 74 and 78. And the starting lineup for the visiting New York Yankees, brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. JACOBY ELLSBURY leads it off. He is the DH. Then Derek Jeter, number 2, and Brian McCann, 3rd. Mark Teixeira in the lineup at first. Chris Young in left. Brett Gardner in center. Chase Headley hits 7th and 3rd. Ichiro Suzuki in the 8th spot, and Brendan Ryan at second hits 9th.
Now taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, right-hander Alex Cobb making his 25th start of the season, looking for his 10th win of the season. Look at that ERA, 2.75. I'll tell you what, since the All-Star break, Alex Cobb 5-1 with a 1.26, the lowest ERA since the All-Star break, and we mentioned in the open, 12 straight starts of 2 earned runs or fewer.
All set to play baseball. Alex Cobb on the hill as JACOBY ELLSBURY steps in. And the first pitch of this game is a strike. Fastball on the inside part of the plate. First pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. Well, that's what Cobb has been doing in these recent outings, getting ahead of hitters and setting his own pace. And there is strike 2, 0-2 on ELLSBURY. ELLSBURY at 271. Had a hit last night in 4 at-bats. And a foul tip strikeout. That's how this one starts. Out number 1. 3 pitches, 3 strikes. And now here's Derek Jeter. Jeter settles in, and Cobb's pitch. There's a bunt by Jeter. Cobb off the mound, and he throws him out. So Jeter, who came into this game nothing for his last 26, tried to bunt his way on, and Cobb threw a strike to first.
You can understand, but the deal with this bunt is Jeter gets it too close to Alex Cobb. You know, you go back to his sacrifice bunt in last night's game. He laid that right up the third base line. He does that here, he's got a hit. This one, easier play for Cobb.
So the young man out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, 4 for 1 tonight. The pitch to McCann is too low. 1 ball, no strikes. He may be retiring, but he is, make no mistake about it, a young man at 40.
So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance. McCann at 235 with 20 home runs. Back behind the plate tonight. He played first base last night. 1-1. This one on the ground with the shift on. It's handled by ZOBRIST. McCann is out number 3. 3 up, 3 down. Rays are coming in to hit. The Rays lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Then ZOBRIST leads it off, followed by David DeJesus, who is the designated hitter. Evan Longoria bats third in front of James Loney. Then Will Myers and Nick Franklin again starting at second base. Matt Joyce in left. Ryan Hannigan hits eighth, catching. Kevin Kiermaier in center field bats out of the ninth spot.
We got a couple of starters here that had some tough luck their last time out. Brandon McCarthy making his 13th start here with the Yankees. A good body of work with them. In his last start, one of his better ones with the Yankees, that was at Baltimore against the Orioles. 7 shutout innings on just 4 hits. Ended up with a no decision in what amounted to an Orioles 2-1 win.
The Rays get another look at Brandon McCarthy. Pitched against them in the middle of August. First pitch to Ben Zobrist, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Fastball, curveball, cutter, changeup. Changeup mainly to left-handed hitters. Works quickly.
There's a curveball dropping in. 0-2. Now a ball and 2 strikes. David DeJesus will hit next against the tall right-hander. And a liner base hit into right field. Zobrist aboard to start this game.
I'll tell you what, Ben Zobrist has done a really nice job in that leadoff spot. You know, for Joe Madden, you know, he's not the base stealer that you may want coming out of that spot, but he's a great on-base guy. He's been swinging the bat well recently. And right there, a tough at-bat falling behind early, takes a cutter and is able to find its way out into right field for a leadoff hit.
The Rays with a base runner, and David DeJesus about to step in. Tenth start for DeJesus since coming off the disabled list with a fractured left hand. Ground ball, backhanded stop. Ryan, he gets rid of it to second for the force. Ryan, who is an outstanding shortstop, making a great play there on the backhanded second.
Yeah, and that ball was very close to getting out there into right center field. And then you're talking about first and third. But watch Brendan Ryan, a couple of steps and a dive with the backhand. And able to force out Ben Zobrist in second. Quite a play there by number 17.
Well, you talk about a sure glove. That would be Brendan Ryan. Now DeJesus is the runner. Evan Longoria at the plate. The first pitch strike. Evan at 88 runs batted in. Second half surge has pushed that RBI total up. Pitch away, and it's 1-1.
He's had as many RBIs since the All-Star break in 55 games that he had in 97 games before the break.
It's amazing.
Yep. Quite the tear.
Was a frustrating first half for him. Runner goes. Pitch is a strike, and the throw is as well. DeJesus caught trying to steal. Brendan Ryan putting the tag on David DeJesus.
Nice job there, too, by Brian McCann. Get it and throw it. DeJesus off and running on the leg kick. A peek back in, but the throw by McCann right there. Strong, accurate throw.
The opposition had stolen 16 out of 20 attempts successfully against McCarthy, combined between the National League and the American League. And now he strikes out Longoria, and we'll head into the second inning scoreless.
The second inning, and let's take a look at the Rays defense tonight as it sets up all of these defenders wanting to rob Derek Jeter of a base hit at some point tonight. In the outfield, left to right, Matt Joyce, Kevin Kiermaier, and Will Myers. Across the infield, third to first, we have Evan Longoria, Ben Zobrist, Nick Franklin, and James Loney. Ryan Hannigan will be behind the plate.
As we go to the second inning, Mark Teixeira leads it off. Teixeira back in the lineup at first base tonight. The shift is on for him. And the pitch from Cobb is a strike. Ground ball into shallow right. With the shift on, the Rays throw out Teixeira. That one handled by Nick Franklin out there in right field. Well, he had said that he had played the outfield when he was a member of the Seattle Mariners, and he's already playing the outfield in that shift, throwing out Teixeira from short right. Take a look at Cobb, what he's done the last 3 times out against the Yankees. You'd have to call that pretty dominant.
His overall numbers, first of all, he's got 9 starts against the Yankees total. He averages over 7 innings a start, and coming in to this ball game, they were hitting a robust 167 off of him in 9 starts.
And Chris Young jumps on the first pitch and lines it foul and breaks his bat in the process. It was Chris Young who broke up the no-hit bid for Alex Cobb in New York. Was last Thursday. Cobb had pitched 7 1/3 no-hit innings and got ahead of Young 1 strike when Young took a fastball and doubled into right center field.
And that was the 4th pitch of the sequence. That was Kurt Casale. Kurt Casale and Alex Cobb had worked together so very well, and he called fastball in, shook him off, curveball, changeup, fastball away, went with it, base hit. About the only time he shook him off all night. He did it 3 times, and it cost him his first hit.
Close there, taken for a ball, changeup, and it's 1-2.
Although Alex has nothing to be ashamed of. Chris Young, as we saw with those numbers earlier, he's been wearing out all sorts of Rays pitching.
He did not offer. Hannigan wanting the appeal from Marty Foster, who's down there at first.
Boy, that was a quick start and a nice hold up there by Chris Young. Not easy to do.
Two from Cobb. He popped it into shallow center. Kiermaier's there to make the catch. Change in the umpiring alignment. Joe West, normally the crew chief, not here. He was suspended as a result of this run-in with Jonathan Papelbon. He had ejected Papelbon, and Papelbon in West's face, and Joe moves him over. So both Papelbon suspended and Joe West getting a day. Sean Barber up and joining this crew. He's at third base tonight. Alan Porter behind the plate. The curveball to start this sequence of pitches to Brett Gardner. Strike 1.
There's an awful lot of short tempers come here towards the end of the season.
We saw a few of them last night.
We did.
High fly ball right field, and Will Myers, always in a good mood, makes the catch. 1, 2, 3. We go to the bottom of the second. No score. We go to the bottom of the second inning. The Rays tonight facing the tall right-hander Brandon McCarthy. McCarthy gave up a base hit to ZOBRIST in the first. He was forced at second by DEJESUS, who was caught stealing. McCarthy lodging a strikeout there to LONGORIA. Tonight's game, and all season long, Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. James Loney comes out swinging, and George Hendrick, well, that might put George in a bad mood, if that's possible. Look at that smile.
Well, because he's taking it from the bench right now. And the fans, apparently.
1-1.
I tell you what, he's one of my favorites in the game.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
You want an answer to a question, he's the guy you go ask, because he's going to give it to you straight.
This one to center. Gardner backs up and makes the catch. Loney got some carry on that. Gardner found himself backpedaling in a hurry after it. Will Myers. When the Rays saw McCarthy back on the 15th of August, they scored 4 runs off him in 6 1/3. They scored 2 in the first and added a couple of unearned runs in the 7th before he left. Ball 1 to Will Myers. It was the same pitching matchup here at the Trop. Cobb and McCarthy. Alex pitched 7 1/3 scoreless innings in that one, allowing 6 hits. Ground ball. Jeter comes up with it, and a quick throw to first. Myers is out.
How many times have you seen him make that play in that fashion? So much confidence in the ability to get to the baseball, the hand-eye, the throw off of 1 foot on the move.
Two quick outs in the second inning. Franklin fouls it back. Nick making his Rays debut last night with a double and a single. Scored a run. Drove in a run. Two. If it stayed inside, the ball 2 strikes. And Joyce would be next. Popped up third base side. Headley's after it, reaching into the stands, and he got it. Boy, that's quite a catch by Headley, right to that low wall beyond the dugout, and reaching into the stands, came up with it. Franklin is out number 3. Here it is again. We're going to go to the third scoreless. Toyota, let's go places. By Checkers. Checkers has 3 favorites in one box. The $2 shrimp and chicken bites and fries box, only at Checkers. By Bert Smith Volkswagen, Tampa Bay's home of driving excitement. Visit BertSmithVW.com. And by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers, it takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. Chase Headley looking at a curveball too low, a ball no strikes. Shift on for the New York third baseman. Bounces this one foul, and Mick Kelleher with the pickup. 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Foul ball evens the count. Ichiro Suzuki will be next, followed by Brendan Ryan. Cobb has retired the first 6 to face him. Pitch stayed in. Cobb trying to finish him off.
Yeah, and I don't think that Alex is convinced that stayed in. He started to walk around the mound, as you will do when you feel like you've punched a guy out. And that is right there.
Beautiful pitch. There's a cut and a miss, so he comes back and gets Headley swinging. That'll be strikeout number 2. And we'll check in with Todd Callis. Todd, how are you?
I'm good, Dwayne. It's our penultimate website Wednesday. Our first question of the night. By the way, you can tweet your questions to @SunSportsRays with the hashtag AskRays, or email your questions to sunsportsrays@gmail.com. Dwayne and BA will have answers throughout the night. We're showing you Will Myers. Our first question comes from a viewer who emailed us, which version of Will do you expect to see in 2015? The one more closely represented by last year's Rookie of the Year award, or this year's version when pitchers made adjustments to him, guys?
Pitch to Suzuki, and that's a strike on the inside part of the plate. Well, I think everyone knows which one you hope to see, and that would be last year. This year, a couple of things at work, and you have to give him the injury was an issue, but even before the injury, he had struggled. So what you hope is that he can simplify his approach and make a basic change and not be so susceptible to pitches away.
It'll be completely up to Will Myers and who shows up. He's got all the athletic ability, natural physical ability that you could want. A ton of power, the ability to have good plate coverage. But right now, pitchers, they're not being shy about it. They're going to attack him down and away until he makes the adjustment. He makes the adjustment and can either, it's not that you have to make that hole in your swing go away. You've just got to make it smaller. And if he's able to make it smaller, then he'll force pitchers back, pitching him in. They'll make mistakes out over. You'll see the power numbers go up, and he'll do his thing. If he's not able to do that, that'll be the adjustment. If he makes the adjustment, you're going to see the guy from last year, and if he doesn't, you'll see more this year.
Yeah, and what next year turns out to be is a pivotal year, perhaps, in his career. The chopper is short. Zobrist will handle this with the second out. This is not the first time a young hitter has come up and had a good rookie year and then struggled his sophomore season. They call it the sophomore jinx because it happens more often than you'd like to think. The idea is you come up, and as you point out, pitchers are in the business of spotting advantages they can take of hitters. They figure it out pretty quickly.
Yep.
Now the hitter has to go back and do some figuring himself.
That's right. And the one thing this is, it's not exclusive to Will Myers struggling in his second year, but it's exclusive to Will Myers struggling this much ever. Mm-hmm. This is not something he's gone through in his career. And so this is the first big adjustment that he needs to make. And if he does that, his confidence will grow, and he'll realize going forward, things to do, things to look for to make adjustments maybe a little bit quicker next time. But this is the first big hurdle. And you're right about that, because when you get to this level, there's video, there's metrics, there are printouts on everybody. There's no place to hide anymore. If they find a weakness, they're going to exploit it. And if you can't do anything about it, uh-oh.
Well, what you hope, because you're at this level, you hope there is a realization that you have to make some changes, because that's what allows you to have a prolonged career. You may have attained a certain amount of success doing it one way, not always going to do it that same way in the major leagues.
Amen.
Ooh, a close pitch right there, and Ryan takes it for ball 3. 3-1. The zone here in the third, a little tight on a couple of these pitches. Cut. 3-2. Ryan found himself in that 3-1 count, trying to take advantage of this cut.
Yeah, and thank goodness it was up that much, because 3-1 fastball in. You talk about a gutsy fastball, especially with Brendan Ryan, who is wanting to turn it loose, not worried about that average.
And he comes back to strike him out. That one disappeared. 3-2 split. Let's take a look at that thing. 2 strikeouts in the inning, and right over it. 1, 2, 3, go the Yankees. Tweet your photo using hashtag SunSportsFanPhoto, all for a chance to have it shown at an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Matt Joyce will lead it off against Brandon McCarthy. Then Ryan Hannigan and Kevin Kiermaier. Strike one to Joyce. McCarthy, out of Glendale, California, originally drafted by the White Sox and came up through the White Sox organization. 1-1. From there he went to the Texas Rangers, the Oakland Athletics, most recently with the Diamondbacks until the trade this year that brought him to the Yankees. He was 3-10 with a .501 earned on average with Arizona. That was at 18 starts. He's made 12. This is 13th start for the Yankees. 6-4 with a .254 earned run average. 3-1. Into center field. Gardner broke back, but now comes in. The ball hangs up there, and he makes the catch. Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan caught last night 0 for 3 with a walk. Pitch in there for a strike. McCarthy setting a rapid pace here in this game. It's a ball and a strike. McCarthy ahead in the count here to Hannigan.
Well, both of these starting pitchers setting a pace with their tempo, throwing strikes, pitching out in front. A lot of confidence in their stuff, attacking the zone.
Yeah, two aggressive pitchers in their own style. McCarthy in his career against the Rays 4-3, but with a .292 earned run average, spread over a little better than 60 innings of work against the Rays. Still a ball, 2 strikes the count to Hannigan.
Well, what a difference. You know, this year with Arizona, he was 3-10 with an ERA of over 5 in the National League. Comes over to the New York Yankees, and they're going to lean on him for help down the stretch in their decimated starting rotation. And we saw those numbers earlier, outstanding. 12 starts at 2.5, just over 2.5 earned run average. Averaging 6.5 innings to start.
He's been a strike thrower with New York. Of course, he threw a lot of strikes in Arizona. When you look at the breakout coming into this game, in 78 innings for the Yankees, he'd walked only 12 hitters with 70 strikeouts. There's 1 strikeout so far tonight. That will run the count to 3-2. 2-2 curveball that missed. Kiermaier, once down in the count, has worked it all the way out. We see him do that a lot. See a lot of pitches in his at bat. Down to third, backhanded stop. Headley, throw to first is scooped by TEIXEIRA, and another outstanding play by Headley, the New York third baseman. We made a great catch on Franklin's foul ball in the second. You don't get much better than this stop.
That's going to be a shot down the line, a 1.5 steps, and a backhand. Now you got to complete it, and you need a little help on the other end by Mark TEIXEIRA.
Hannigan making a bid for an extra base hit. Headley taking it away from him. It's a ball to Kevin Kiermaier. Roller foul outside of first. 10 home runs, 16 doubles. It seems he's hustled his way into about half of those. And for Kiermaier, 6 triples. Tap to second. Ryan handles this one, and the Rays are up and down 1, 2, 3. On to the fourth, scoreless. By H.H. Gregg. Tonight at Tropicana Field, the Rays wrapping up their series against the New York Yankees. Alex Cobb, through the first 3, has pretty much picked up where he left off against the Yankees up in New York last Thursday.
You think he was a little bit chapped at the outcome of that game?
Oh, what a terrible game for the Rays to drop after he was so excellent. Not only did he see the no-hitter go away in the 8th inning of that game, but the Rays saw the game go away in the bottom of the 9th.
You know, that was a game where, for me, about midway through, the outcome was not in doubt anymore. You knew the Rays were going to win that game. The question was, is Alex going to get the no-hitter? That's why I think that is the most disappointing loss of the Rays season. Lose the no-hitter, come out of the game. Okay, well, you're still going to have Boxberger, McGee wrap it up, and before you know it, it's over and you're not on the winning end.
Yeah, and it's been that kind of season for the Rays. You know, the prior 6 years, there's no way that game comes close to getting away from them.
Nope.
Look at this since the All-Star break. Yeah, there's Alex Cobb leading the charge in ERA.
Yeah, a 5-1 record to go along with that 1.26 earned run average. Some pretty heady company there.
There's a liner and a base hit through the middle. Cobb made a swipe at it with his glove and disappointed that he didn't come up with that. And ELLSBURY has a base hit to open the 4th inning.
Just finding the middle of the field right here, right off the end of the bat, and that's why Alex is upset, because that was about glove high, just off the edge.
So there's the first hit of the game for New York. And Derek Jeter comes to the plate for the 2nd time tonight. ELLSBURY back in at first. And tonight's Buick big matchup. Jeter 0 for his last 27, and you can see against Cobb he's 2 for 16 in his career. That includes the one at bat tonight. And on the fastball. That's a strike. Cobb retired the first 9 men to face him before Ellsbury picked up the hit. Shot foul down toward the bullpen. Runs a count to 2 strikes off speed, and Jeter pulled it foul.
This is where you do not want to find yourself against Alex Cobb. Coming into this start, when he gets a hitter to 2 strikes, he holds him to a 143 average and a 203 on base. A lot of different ways to get you out, and he is awfully good at it when he's ahead like this.
Moved to first, and Ellsbury got back in. Boy, 0-2 the count on the hitter, and Ellsbury might have been taking a step towards second.
Yeah, because the move by Alex, we've seen him with quicker feet. That was not his A move. But you're right, Ellsbury either not recognizing or further out and maybe starting to lean. Remember that cutout that we take a look at all the time right there. Average lead.
He's gone. Pitch into the dirt, bouncing away from Hannigan. Big turn. Ellsbury makes a big turn there at second and decides to hang on. He turned, started, stopped. And so Ellsbury gets a steal, breaking on that pitch in the dirt.
You know what Ellsbury's doing right there is he's banking on what's coming from Alex Cobb. 0-2 count. Alex not afraid to throw that split changeup. And Ellsbury, a very good base stealer here for the Yankees, almost got himself 2.
'39th stolen base of the year for Ellsbury. He's been caught 5 times. He turns the leadoff single into a move up to second on the steal. He's in scoring position with nobody out. No scoring threat by either club tonight comes in the top of the 4th. Jeter fouls it. We'll see another 1-2 delivery. Steal by Ellsbury, the 11th by the opposition in 13 attempts against Cobb. Back to the mound, knocked down by Cobb. Quick throw to first after a look in the process at Ellsbury back at second. So he's still there at second base, and Jeter is out pitcher first.
Jacoby Ellsbury was not convinced that Alex Cobb was going to first with this. Ball going right back up the middle. Knocked down. Watch Ellsbury dive back in right here, thinking maybe that throw's coming for me.
One away. Ellsbury still at second. Brian McCann at the plate. Strike 1. Breaking ball. McCann was 0 for 2 with a walk against Cobb last Thursday in New York. Ground ball right side. Cobb will cover, taking the toss from Loney. Ellsbury advances to third. He's there with 2 outs.
Well, the last 2 hitters retired on ground balls, and that, you follow the Rays. Nothing new with Alex Cobb, and you think about his stuff. Good sinking action on the fastball, the split changeup that has good downward finish, and the curveball that works its way down towards the ground. He works down in the zone, and because of that, gets a ton of ground balls.
His ground ball rate about 57%. TEIXEIRA.
And I'd still like to know how they figure that out.
We're going to have to call him.
Well, you know, because
have him run it through the formula.
Last year, the same people that we use to get our information, he was in the low to mid 70s, and that was right at the top. Now, 57 and right at the top. Same ratio as last year, but something else, something different figured in. Used to be ground ball, fly ball, and that was it. The one thing that we do know is he was also, you know, as far as the metrics go, right there at the top of the list in weak contact. And, you know, you follow enough of his starts. I mean, not too many people. You're drilling the baseball off of Alex Cobb. Finds its way to the end of the bat and to the handle of the bat more often than not.
Ground ball. This should take care of New York. TEIXEIRA is out of there on the shift. ZOBRIST handles the ground ball. Yankees leave a man at third. No score.
Challenge. It all involves the MLB app called Head to Head. It's a form of fantasy baseball, but on a daily basis. And today, during this game, he is going up against me. He also got tickets to the game, and I'm also sitting with you here for an inning. Do you think you put together a winning lineup?
I think I did. It's still a little early. We're about to go through the lineup a second time, so I still like my chances.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's how our lineup shakes out. Because McCarthy's ready, I went with Zoe, Joyce, Loney, and DeJesus. And what did you think about your lineup?
I got Myers, Longoria, Franklin, and Kiermaier. Yeah, that's right.
I got to ask, what's your favorite part of tonight? You won a lot today.
Boy, it's been so much fun. I think just the whole experience, sitting up here in the suite, meeting you, being able to see a game, it's fantastic. Can't beat it.
And I'll tell you what, guys, he is a huge Yankee hater. He is bashing on him hardcore up here.
Absolutely. Yankee hater from way back.
Back up to you guys.
Thank you very much. A ground ball off the bat of ZOBRIST, handled by the second baseman Ryan on the chopper. It's the first out in the bottom of the fourth inning. Well, we'll see how the Rays lineup fares the second time through here against Brandon McCarthy. McCarthy also a guy who will throw his share of ground balls. A lot of row right now.
A lot of similarities with these guys as far as tempo, working quickly, throwing strikes, keeping the ball on the ground.
Here's David DeJesus. Just strike at the knees. a strike at the knees. 0-2. Evan Longoria is on deck. Ball 2 strikes the count on the Rays designated hitter. We'll take the count to 2-2. Jesus had a base hit, scored a run last night in the 4-run 7th. Foul out of play. Holding the count at 2-2. And the count is full. Just off the plate. And on the ground, another ground ball, and this one handled by TEIXEIRA. So 2 outs. Meet the Rays Stars of tomorrow. It'll be Friday the 19th before the game against the White Sox. The Rays hold a ceremony recognizing the 2014 Rays Minor League Award winners. It begins at 5:45, and the award winners will be signing autographs for fans along the first base line. Which is fouled back to Evan Longoria, strike 1. Evan, the lone strikeout posted by McCarthy. Fly ball right back down the middle to deep center. That ball is gone. Evan Longoria gives the Rays a 1-0 lead. Rays on the board first with Longoria's 22nd home run. He belted that one out to center. And Gardner going back, and he just ran out of room. Number 22 for Evan, his 89th run batted in. James Loney takes it down. 1 ball, no strikes. 100.1 off the bat on the home run to center field. One and one to James Loney. It's the 22nd home run given up by McCarthy this year, combined with Arizona and the Yankees. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Hot shot third, backhanded pickup by Headley. Throw right on the money. Rays are out in the 4th inning, but they get a long one off the bat of Evan Longoria. And the Rays have taken a 1-0 lead through 4. And overall, the Rays lead this game 1-0. Bring the family to Tropicana Field Sunday and see the Rays take on the White Sox. Kids 14 and under receive a Raymond train, courtesy of Bright House Networks, while supplies last. Sundays also feature lots of family fun activities, courtesy of the Tampa Bay Times. Visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. Back to work goes Alex Cobb. We move into the 5th. Chris Young, the left fielder, leads off for New York. Rays have the shift on for Young, who fly ball to center field in the 2nd inning. And Cobb hits Young with that pitch. There's a breaking ball.
Here we go.
Well, Joe Girardi apparently told McCarthy just to go out there and pitch. Forget about what had happened. It already happened. It's an attempt to throw a breaking ball. You know, it was interesting, though, in the comments made last night by Joe Girardi about the Rays, how they should learn how to pitch inside. And it was interesting that coming into this game today, more Rays hitters had been hit by Yankee pitchers than Yankee hitters by Rays pitchers. And with that one, they're all even now on the season, 8-8. So if anybody's counting, we're all even. Ball at first gets away, but Young a little trouble getting up, and Loney recovers that throw to first base, and Young trying to stretch it out there at first.
I think Loney may have used him to kind of push off too to get up. A bad throw, and they both went down. Loney kind of, you'll see it right here. This throw gets away. Actually, not hit him. That's what he's feeling. That throw got through Loney's glove and hit Chris Young.
So Cobb's hit him twice.
Does that give the Rays the lead, 8.5 to 8? Well, you know what? You get caught up in the moment. Girardi was livid last night, I think, at a lot of different things. And his own team's performance.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a team that finished up that last homestand, taking 2 or 3 from the Rays in this very important road trip.
Yeah. And
they go to Baltimore and then come here in the first 2 games. So they go on this very important road trip for them and trying to stay relevant in the playoff chase, and they're 1-5.
Yeah, they lost some tough games over in Baltimore.
So you've got a manager that realizes more than likely his team is out of it. Frustrating, just frustrating.
It's outside 2-0. Well, you're right about that. They had a couple of big emotional wins on that homestand. They were devastating losses for the Rays. We referenced that game that Cobb was pitching. You didn't think any way that would get away from the Rays, and it did. And so then the Yankees finished off that homestand, hit the road, and they're 1-5 on the trip. Runner goes. The pitch pulled foul outside of first. 2-1. It's tough, and it's a long season. Both these teams have had trouble getting their engines going. We know how difficult it's been for the Rays. Really frustrating. They went through that 1-14 stretch. The Yankees, a similar situation where things just have not worked out in a sustained manner for either one of these teams the way they had hoped that it might.
No, for the Yankees, you go back 18, 20 years. This team is not used to not going to the playoffs back-to-back years. And so, with the injuries and everything else piling up, Joe Girardi already obviously frustrated. Joe Madden has got to be frustrated watching what his team has done in the second half of the season since the All-Star break, and what this pitching staff has done and what they were capable of doing for a time.
Pitch lifted toward the left field line for Matt Joyce, and he makes the catch. One out with Young still at first. Well, this is what got Girardi upset. There's been a number of Yankee players hit in recent matchups. That one, none of these really intentional, and as scary as the one was on Headley by McGee. I mean, that was unsettling to the point where things got away from the Rays, and certainly not on purpose, but they did happen in rapid succession. The Rays had to put on a real run of hit batters to get close to even in the season series, and now they're even at 8-8.
Well, and it was Joe Girardi basically saying, look, Rays pitchers don't know how to pitch inside.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing pitching in, and if you don't know what you're doing, then either learn it or stop pitching in. Well, let's go back earlier in the year with the Yankees and Cesar Cabral.
Oh, yeah.
Who hit 3 Rays within a 4-hitter span, and hit so many and showing zero command, so little command, that Joe West tossed him out of that ball game just to save some people. I mean, it was guys were just getting plunked left and right. He had no idea where the ball was going. This was not on purpose. He just had no idea where it was going. And finally, Joe West is like, you know what? I'm making a pitching change right here.
Yep. So that slipped the minds of some folks last night, and if you look at the at what's happened over the season, the Yankee pitchers have hit 62 hitters, and coming into this game, Rays pitchers 53. So there you are.
The Yankees are second in the American League, behind the team that will be coming in here next.
That's trouble right there, slicing away from Kiermaier to the wall. Young will score. It's a double for Headley, and the game is tied 1-1. Off the bat, that shot to center off a left-handed bat, slicing away from Kiermaier. A double for Headley to tie the game.
Well, I'll tell you what, so far it has been Chase Headley's night. First defensively, and now offensively. He gets a changeup that stays middle and above the knees, something that he can stay back on and drive. He gets a little slicing action that's going to take it away from Kiermaier, and the Yankees tie this ball game.
And of course, it's Chris Young who scores the run. With Thorne, he's been in the Rays side, and how well he has performed for the Yankees. Ichiro Suzuki now with Headley on second. Pitch is high, 1-0. Yannigan makes a trip to the mound. Upstairs, up and away. Cobb falls behind Ichiro, and Hickey's going to head to the mound. Cobb ready to jump on the rubber and make that next pitch, and now he'll get a visit from the Rays pitching coach. We'll remind you of your chance to win a jersey right off the player's back and other great prizes at the Trop here, the Rays home, the 19th through the 21st, and the series against the White Sox during the annual Shirts Off Our Backs fundraiser. Proceeds benefit the Rays Baseball Foundation. For more details, visit raysbaseball.com/shirts. Ground ball right side. Handled by Franklin. Over to third goes Headley. Man at third, 2 gone. And the number 9 hitter, Brendan Ryan, is on his way to the plate. It back. It's a strike. Cobb working in the 5th. Toward the right field corner. On the run, that's going to be over his head. One hopper bouncing up into the stands for a double, and New York takes a 2-1 lead. Well, Ryan comes up with his 4th double of the year to drive in his 7th run.
A fastball that stays up. Alex Cobb very rarely working up in the zone. Brendan Ryan able to get on top of this pitch and drive it the other way with authority, able to burn Will Myers right there and one-hop that ball up into the stands. That ball was hit well, and only because it had some elevation to it.
So Headley has driven in a run in this inning and scored a run as the Yankees have taken the 2-1 lead. Ryan in scoring position, and Ellsbury takes a cut and a miss. Changeup puts Cobb out in front of the count.
Well, that changeup gets so many swings and misses. You know, coming into this start, if Alex Cobb had qualified, and he will eventually before this season is over, qualified for the ERA title, he would be 5th in the American League in swing and miss percentage, all while not having that mid to upper 90s fastball.
It's a liner off the glove of Cobb. ZOBRIST handles it, and a throw to first to retire the Yankees. Ellsbury out of there. New York with 2 to take a 2-1 lead. America's new sports network. Fox Sports 1 is your new home for baseball's National League Division and Championship Series. And it all begins this October. Rays are down 2-1. Will Myers opens the bottom of the 5th. Pitch is inside, 1-0. Will grounded out to Jeter, his first time. Two and nothing. Two and one. Two. Curveball there and a good one. McCarthy pulls even in the count.
When you have the ability to go to your secondary pitches when you're behind in the count, it makes you very dangerous as a pitcher if you could throw them for strikes.
Back with a fastball, fouled.
One of the biggest advantages a hitter has when he's able to work the count in his favor is being able to eliminate pitches. And if you don't have a lot of confidence in your ability to throw the curveball for a strike consistently, maybe you stay away from that pitch 2-1 and you're more of a fastball cutter guy. All that does is benefit the guy standing at the plate.
Full count. Myers takes that one low.
I think that's where both of these pitchers, their success can be directly tied to that. Good stuff, but the ability to throw the changeup, the curveball, the cutter when behind in the count.
Ground ball sharply hit. Jeter makes the play, and Myers for the second time thrown out 6-3. Jeter to TEIXEIRA.
And just to take that a step further, think of it as a hitter. If I'm sitting up there in a 2-1 count, and I'm thinking, okay, this is I'm going to turn it loose. He drops in a hook for strike 2.
Yep.
Now what? Well, if he's going to throw a 2-1 hook, certainly he'll throw anything here 2-2.
Yep.
Now all of a sudden the mind starts to work, and you're not really sure how he's going to attack you.
Franklin takes the pitch in there. An opening curveball to this sequence of pitches for a strike. So he's done a couple pretty good curveballs here in this inning in the 5th. Franklin fouls it back. 0-2. McCarthy just 31 years old. Boy, he's pitched well for the Yankees. It's 1-2.
That work that he's done with the Yankees has now allowed him, coming into this start, to set career highs in starts, innings, strikeouts, and he's just going to continue to add on to that down the stretch here.
Hot shot liner into right. One hop in front of Ichiro. Franklin hit the ball well there. It has a 1-out single. The Rays getting a look at 23-year-old Nick Franklin. Like what they saw last night, both at the plate and in the field. And he rifles this one into right.
Now that pitch stayed right out over the plate. You see Franklin, very little stride, if any, right there. Stays back, sees it for a while, and fires his hands at a base hit.
Strike to Matt Joyce. Down blocked by McCann. Interesting thing about McCarthy, and this might have to be one of the questions that the Yankees ask themselves. You look at his career and what he's been done when he's been healthy. He has tended to struggle in the first half and come up with his best work in the second half after the All-Star break. That's holding true in a big way this year since he's come over to the Yankees. So is this his normal second half surge, or is it a 31-year-old pitcher who seems to have locked in and found himself? Because that's the way he's throwing the ball when we've seen him.
All we've seen, you would say, hey, listen, when healthy, this guy's outstanding all the way through. You look at the first half numbers, you look at those first 18 starts with Arizona, and you're like, how? Yeah. How is that possible?
The popper. Headley's after it out from third base. 2 gone. Take a look at the breakout on him. First half and second half. How about that?
Yeah.
The run difference.
You know, the win-loss, of course, are most of the time going to reflect the ERA. Not always, but yeah, a full run lower in the second half when typically you start to wonder, hey, has the guy got enough gas left in the tank? Is he going to be able to make it strong all the way through? Well, maybe you got to try to figure out why. This is what, you know, you'd have to go back and look. Is off to a slow start. Is he doing enough work in spring training? Is he starting the season ready to go, or working his way into rhythm as the season is going on? I mean, only those closest to Brandon McCarthy would be able to answer that question, but it certainly is odd.
Because, well, I'll tell you, he's been impressive against the Rays.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
And he's been impressive with the Yankees, just looking at his lines, how efficient he's been. You know, and this isn't 4 or 5 starts. We're not talking start 13 with the Yankees.
This is Ryan Hannigan, 2 outs, and Franklin at first. Strike 1. And 1. I mean, you look at his numbers, you look at his ground ball numbers, his strikeouts. One thing, just a little fewer ground ball outs with the Yankees, but that's more than made up for by the number of strikeouts. He's increased his strikeout rate with the Yankees and still throws a lot of ground balls,
which is the best of both worlds. We see the same thing with Alex Cobb, increasing his strikeouts with the Rays while still maintaining that good ground ball rate. I'm going to tell you what, if you're missing bats and you're keeping the ball on the ground, you're not giving up extra base hits, and that's something that Alex has not done. I mean, coming into this start, just 27 extra base hits in the 147 in the third innings. Why so strange to see Headley be able to get that ball out there, and same thing with Brendan Ryan. But look at where the pitches were. Change up left up to Headley, and then a pitch away, fastball away to Ryan that stayed up. And both of them, they were able to get air underneath and get a couple of doubles.
Goes the runner. Pitches a ball, and the throw is not quite in time. Franklin steals second base.
No, nothing that Brian McCann could have done any better than he did. Nick Franklin off and running, low fly. Boy, that was awfully close, but he's able to get that right leg in there. Nice job by McCann. You see, going for that back leg allows the right leg to get to the bag.
It's his first steal for the Rays, his second steal of the year. He was in a handful of games earlier this year with Seattle. The curveball that stays in, and the count is full to Hannigan. Kiermaier would be next if Hannigan keeps the inning going. And he takes ball 4. Well, that was a fastball, pretty close. Hannigan is aboard. Take a look at how close this was.
It's a cutter. Looked good.
Wow. So 2 men on with 2 men out.
I think that was Joe Girardi on the horn to his Chico saying, where was that pitch? And he's going to have to say, unfortunately, Mr. Girardi, that probably was a strike.
Now Kiermaier chops it down to Teixeira. A toss to McCarthy. First pitch curveball gets Kiermaier, and the Rays lead 2, down 2-1.
Field, and here are his thoughts about how he's been received during this farewell tour.
Everything that's gone on along this way, or along the way of this last season, it's been pretty awesome the way the fans have treated me, not only in New York but on the road. So that's what I'll remember the most out of this final season is the things that fans have said, the things that opposing players have said, managers, coaches. You know, I've always tried to be respectful of the game and play the game the right way. And when people acknowledge you for that, then it makes you feel like you did something right.
He's done a lot of things right along the way, guys, including 158 postseason games, by far the most in Major League history, 33 more than his former teammate, Jorge Posada.
Yeah, and he's really defined shortstop. 2,668 games at shortstop, the most appearances at any single defensive position in baseball history without having played another position. And there is a base hit on the first pitch from Cobb. Jeter leads off the 6th with a single to snap the hitless streak, and the Yankees put the leadoff man on.
You know, here's the other thing that you got to take into account. Todd Callis mentions the 158 games of postseason play. That's another full season of games, number one. Number two, how many of his off seasons have been cut short by a month, where everybody else has done, you know, end of September, beginning of October? He's playing ball till mid-October, late October. I mean, he has put some serious time in. Shortened off seasons, ton of postseason games.
The bunt attempt by Brian McCann against the shift, strike one. Well, there you are, 6th all-time on the hit list, now at 3,451. And 5 World Series titles and 14-time All-Star. That's the other thing. Not only is he playing in the postseason, he's playing in the All-Star game.
Doesn't even get the All-Star break off. That's pretty bad. in a good way.
That's right. 0-2. Well, we talked about him the other night. He has been the class of the Yankees. There's no question about that. And their leader. Leadership role, not something he sought. It sought him.
You know, and it's not often that you're the captain in baseball. I mean, that's just, you know, something that is not the norm. But he has set the standard, that's for sure.
Two and two. The Yankees have put the leadoff man on base now in each of the last 3 innings. That led to 2 runs in the 5th. Now Jeter's aboard in the 6th. Count is full to McCann. Cobb coming in, allowing 2 runs or fewer in 12 consecutive starts. Up 2 runs in the 5th inning of this game. And he loses McCann. That pushes Jeter up to second, and will get Mark Teixeira to the plate. Walk to McCann, follows the single by Jeter. Teixeira is 0 for 2. Comes a strike. Ball, 1 strike. Change up, got Teixeira out in front. Started the game, retiring the first 9. Retired 12 of the first 13 men he faced. In trouble in the 5th, and now in trouble in the 6th inning. Teixeira takes that one, and it's low, 2-2.
Now the Rays have that little shift pulled over there close enough that if they get a ground ball here from Teixeira, which Alex Cobb would love, he can try to turn a double play.
A foul ball.
He'd be the perfect candidate for it. Does not run well. Although I was probably pretty happy with the strikeout too, and now he's got 2 strikes. He can try to work that bottom of the zone.
Just a piece of that one to foul it. Cobb 5-1 against New York in his career with a 169 earned run average. Bruce Young on deck. missed with a fastball. And we have a full count on TEIXEIRA.
You know, and that's a lot closer than it looks as you start to see TEIXEIRA lean out over the plate. And this pitch coming in, he turns back, and that is right there. Very close.
Foul out of play. Well, we've seen Alan Porter be a little conservative with that plate, that zone. There have been some pitches that were just right on the edge, on the corner, and he has not gone for it.
Yeah, and I just don't understand that style of umping home plate. Yeah, I mean, those pitches that are right there, we'll call them a strike. I mean, call them a strike. Make these hitters, you know, go up there ready to hit. Don't you have to give pitches off the plate? Those borderline pitches.
Yeah, ball 4 loads the bases. So single and back-to-back walks. So Cobb struggling a bit here in the 6th inning with command.
Yep. And very unlike Alex. Very unlike Alex.
Chris Young.
I don't know if this is the guy I would want to see here in this situation, the way that he swung the bat against the Rays.
Scored their first run in the 5th. He was hit by a pitch, hit by a curveball. There's a strike to him.
Well, where he has had his success against the Rays is by being disciplined at the plate and not expanding the zone. Enthusiastic about being up here with the bases loaded, he goes after what would have been ball 1, and instead it's 0-1, and now you start to move that count into the favor of Alex Cobb.
The left-hander Riefenhauser delivering in the bullpen. That's a strike. Fastball 0-2.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's all it takes is that one. Here I am. I'm going to drive this run in. Oop! I went after ball 1, and now a paint fastball. Now you're in trouble.
Jeter 3rd, McCann 2nd, TEIXEIRA 1st. And close. That's a ball. Did not chase the changeup.
A good idea.
A 1-2 count to Chris Young. Now it's 2-2 again. He does not offer at the change.
Well, maybe go back to that changeup that you got ahead with. Out over the plate. Trust the finish on it. He's laid off the 2 that have been down and in. Or you could go back to something completely different. Come back and try to dot up another heater.
2-2. Ooh, and he just misses. Another changeup, and Young's not offering.
No, and that was the one, you know, that you figured if he's going to go to the changeup, he's going to use the middle of the plate. And he did, and you got to credit Chris Young for holding up. Now he's worked this count all the way full.
Hannigan and Cobb going to meet halfway.
What do we do here?
Let's take a little time and think about it.
Well, he's seen 3 straight changeups and has not bit. That's where you start to think maybe the fastball, maybe that fastball middle in. That's a gutsy pitch, but I don't know if Young pulls the trigger or not.
Well, what's Young thinking here?
Well, put the ball in play.
3-2. And he threw him the fastball. Young fouled it. Young's been very good about laying off the change. Got the fastball, fouled it to keep this at bat going.
We'll see how Cobb feels about that changeup here. Now you come with the fastball, you speed him back up again, and that ball was out over the plate. So maybe you show him the same thing. Changeup.
Here it is again, 3-2. Young pops it up. Foul ball. Hannigan comes back to the screen. Got a play. Got it. Hannigan had to locate it and then get back there. Made sure he got under it to make the catch, and they get Young, who's been so tough for the Rays to retire.
Now a pop out to the catcher. He stayed with the fastball. It was Ann and Chris Young praying that that ball gets out of play, and Ryan Hannigan finds it and then secures it. That's a big out. Well, especially after being up 0-2 and Young working it back all the way to full. He had seen your pitches, started to zero in on some things, and you just get them anyway.
Cobb went 9 pitches to Teixeira, 7 to Young, and that at bat. 7 pitches, it only seemed longer. Here's Brett Gardner. Gardner lays off. That's a curveball to open.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, because Brett Gardner has had trouble with the elevated fastball. That's not typically Alex Cobb's game. Starts him with the curveball. Looking for some more of that weak contact. How will he get it?
Ball in. 2-0.
And he tried to run that one up by the hands. That's a good play. Now you got to go where you can get a strike, because you're 2-0 and the bases are juiced. What pitch do you have the most confidence in to be able to throw a quality strike? That's what you see here.
With change. It's 3-0.
I would not have guessed changeup 2-0 as your go-to strike pitch, and it wasn't.
And a high drive deep to right. Myers to the wall. He'll leap. He got it. Myers makes the catch. Oh my. A tag at third. Jeter scores. Will Myers timing his leap to grab that one. A long out there, swinging 3-0. And it's a sacrifice fly. Boy, you had visions of much worse things than that.
Now the contact was solid, and the only thing that saved him was this ball was hit so high it allowed Will Myers to get back there, get a read on it, make the leap. You see the eyes intently on that baseball, and he's able to come down with it. Boy, that saved some runs. Better believe that. Now I was like, where am I supposed to be?
Gardner, green light, 3-0, and he gave the Rays a scare with that shot. Turns out to be a sacrifice fly.
I mean, think about that. You're a foot and a half from this game's blown wide open, and now you hang that close because of a foot and a nice play by Myers.
And here's Chase Headley. He's had a good night defensively and at the plate. I don't know the count to Headley. 2-0 the count. Cobb at 90 pitches. A lot of pitches here in this inning. A strike, now 2-1. McCann at second base. TEIXEIRA on first. 30 pitch inning. 91 on the night. Baltimore leads Toronto in the top of the 6th at Baltimore 4-0. And guess who has hit 2 more home runs tonight for Baltimore? Steve Pearce, numbers 19 and 20. Now 3-1 on Headley. Well, you talk about this being unlike Alex Cobb. This is the 5th consecutive hitter that he's gone to a 3-ball count on. He's 3-1 here to Headley.
Yeah, you know, a couple of walks. That's just not part of the way that Alex pitches ever.
Foul back, full count.
He just continues to hang around though, and if he can get to the point where he minimizes the damage and the Yankees are only able to score 1 run here, boy, that's some ducking and diving going on by Alex Cobb. Sometimes that's what you have to do.
Well, they had the bases loaded with nobody out. Need the pitch away from getting out of this, allowing just 1 run. (3-2), and it's inside. The bases are loaded again. So Headley walks. 3 walks in the inning to go with a hit.
Very similar to this location on a pitch to Mark TEIXEIRA that was not called. Borderline pitch, but those have been tough to get.
Here's Ichiro. Grounded to short and is grounded to second. Cobb misses inside. Missed with an opening fastball. 1-0. Again, 2 balls, no strikes. Hauser in the bullpen. Ichiro fouls it. .36 pitch inning for Alex Cobb.
And you got to figure with a workload this heavy, this late, this may be his last inning. So finish it in style.
Foul ball, and the count will go to 2-2. Ichiro fouling that one into the stands, back of third. 2-2 and a foul.
Trying to shoot that pitch up at Ichiro's hands. You know that he starts to leak out of that batter's box. He would prefer something down and away that he can shoot the other way. And they try to counter that by coming hard at the hands, and they almost beat him. He was able to get just a piece.
Yankees scored 2 in the 5th. They have 1 in the 6th. The bases are loaded with 2 outs. A 2-2 count on Ichiro Suzuki. Alex Cobb about to make pitch number 100 of the night. Ground ball back to the mound. Cross to first. Just 1 run out of all of that for New York. They leave the bases loaded. Outstanding leaping grab in right field by Myers. Turned out to be a sacrifice fly. 3-1 New York. Opened the scoring when Evan Longoria belted his 22nd home run of the year. Came in the 4th inning to center field off Brandon McCarthy. Chase Headley's doubled. Scored a run in the top of the 5th for New York, and then he scored on the 2-out double by Brendan Ryan to right. Yankees forced Cobb to make 39 pitches in the top of the 6th. The only run they get on the fly ball by Gardner. Sacrifice fly scoring Derek Jeter. So it's a 2-run ball game as we go to the bottom of the 6th. And Ben Zobrist, top of the order, leads off, taking the first pitch for a strike.
How much lift do you think that Will Myers got from his hair? Heading back there, timing it up, the jump, boom, flare.
Momentum.
A little bit.
Yeah, and lift.
Enough.
Momentum and lift.
Enough to make the catch.
1-1 to count. Well, I'll tell you, to get out of that and give up just the 1 run.
You know what it does? It gives your team a chance, period. It wasn't the prettiest inning for Alex Cobb, but I'll tell you what, if he doesn't get that final out, then think about that Gardner shot, close to making it a 6-1 game. If it gets over Myers' glove, it's 4-5 to 1 at that point, and still just the 1 out and runners all over the place.
So the Rays offense trying to put something together as Zobrist pops one foul out of play.
And that's why every start is not a masterpiece, but a starter wants to do 2 things. I want to pitch deep into a game. I want to give my team a chance to win. And even though it got ugly there in the 6th inning, so far he's done just that. The team still has a chance to win. It's a 3-1 ball game.
Ground Ground ball right side, and Ryan shaded toward the hole is there. So the 1-2 curveball gets ZOBRIST the ground out. The Joe Madden Mr. Potato Head returns to Tropicana Field. This time he's prepped for winter. Come out Saturday, that's the 20th, when the Rays take on the White Sox. And the first 20,000 fans get the newest Joe Madden Mr. Potato Head, presented by All Children's Hospital, complete with his new outfit. Visit RaysBaseball.com for tickets. Seen the versatility of the winter version of Mr. Potato Head as demonstrated by Todd Callis. David DeJesus shoots it into right field. Suzuki on the run over his head. Off the wall. DeJesus on his way to second. He'll turn second. Go for three. And he is safely in at third base. David DeJesus all the way to third.
This ball tailing away from David, but he's able to get pretty good plate coverage right there and just elude the glove there of Ichiro Suzuki. And that ball that short hops the wall allows DeJesus the opportunity to go for three. He does just that, and he's there with less than two.
Also in action in the bullpen. Riefenhauser was up earlier. Evan Longoria now. Ground ball to Jeter. DeJesus would score, and it's a 3-2 ball game. Evan Longoria reaches the 90 mark at RBIs on the year. Now a 3-2 contest.
Well, how about the Yankees just conceding that run? 2-run lead, and they're just going to play back, and that ground ball to short gets that run home. They're just giving this run to the Rays. See where they're positioning right there, and Evan just doesn't waste any time. Get it out there, get the run home. 1-run game.
James Loney 0 for 2 tonight. That pitch had some bite to it. Good curveball, and he missed it. Our Cold Hard Facts brought to you by the Frost Brewed Coors Light. James Loney last 19 games against New York, 442, 13 runs batted in. Fouls this one away, 0-2. Loney looking for his first hit of the night. Came in hitting .309 against left-handed pitching. Started the night at .292 overall, at .290 right now. Ground ball back to the hill. McCarthy's tossed to first. Rays get a run. We're through 6, 3-2 New York. Tampa area Mazda dealers. It takes conviction, creativity, and courage to build cars worth driving. This is the Mazda way. By Bluebell Ice Cream. And by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop ChooseNissan.com. Back at Tropicana Field, on to inning 7 in the wrap-up game of the series against the Yankees. T.J. Riefenhauser will take over for Alex Cobb. 4th appearance for Riefenhauser in a Rays uniform this year, up from the minor leagues. Alex Cobb, for the first time since the 4th of July, has given up more than 2 runs in a start. 3 runs tonight, earned on 4 hits. He struck out 3, walked 3 in 6 innings. Also hit a man before giving way to the left-hander Riefenhauser. So Cobb had allowed 2 or fewer runs in 12 consecutive starts. And that ends tonight with 3 runs in 6. Brendan Ryan leading off. Lines it foul. Ryan, a big hit, a double, drove in a run in the 5th. That was a 2-out double, scoring Chase Headley. Grant Balfour also busy in the bullpen. That's just foul. Boy, he almost had another extra base hit there. 1-2.
Trying to squirt that ball right up the third base line. That was very, very close. Trying out both lines. Running with a double up the right field line.
Chopper charged by Zobrist. Throws right there. So 1 gone here in the top of the 7th inning. Here's what's coming up Friday on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. The White Sox are in, and Orestes will break down Jose Abreu. Then we'll hear from Jeremy Hellickson, who will be on the mound for the Rays to open that series against Chicago. Coverage begins at 6:30 Friday night from the Trop. Final Friday night at the Trop for the season. Ellsbury misses the breaking pitch. Slider, strike 1. Two. Ball, 2 strikes. Check swing. That's a fair ball. Hannigan makes the play. ELLSBURY tried to hold up, and Hannigan jumping out from back of the plate took care of ELLSBURY. So 2 outs. Derek Jeter's due up, and Joe Maddon heads to the mound with Balfour in the bullpen. We'll see a new Rays pitcher. Rays on in the 7th inning with the bases empty and 2 outs. Brought on to match up against the right-handed bat of Derek Jeter. Jeter singled to open the 6th inning and scored the 3rd run of the game for New York. That's the difference in this game right now. 3-2. Snapped an 0 for 28 with the leadoff base hit in the 6th inning. And now Balfour on to face him. It's a ground ball to second. Franklin makes the pickup and the toss to first, and Jeter's out of there. 1-2-3 in the 7th inning for New York. 3-2, Yankees lead the Rays. Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. Derek Jeter bouncing out to second to end the top half of the 7th inning. in his final appearance here at Tropicana Field. He's gone 1 for 4 tonight with a run scored. Will Myers will open the bottom of the 7th. Will made a superb catch on that long drive in the 6th inning off the bat of Brett Gardner. That drove in Jeter with the 3rd run of the game. This pitch is a curveball taken for a strike by Will. Will timed his leap and made the grab. It's the wall and right. Fouls this one in front of Tom Foley down toward the New York bullpen. Alan Betances up in the bullpen for New York. Myers, Franklin, and Joyce, the hitters due for the Rays, in their half of the 7th. And Will out on strikes on the fastball away.
Got him thinking about the fastball in, and he got it far enough in there that Will fouled it off, pulled it foul, then goes back out away, and you see Will just not able to get out there and get to it.
It's only the 2nd strikeout for McCarthy. You got Longoria in the 1st and Myers in the 7th now. Here's Nick Franklin. Fastball, there's a strike. Franklin 1 of 2 with a stolen base. Foul right back, 0-2. It's Brad Boxberger up in the bullpen for the Rays. Cut the miss. Franklin missed a fastball, and McCarthy saved something here for the 7th. 94 on that fastball.
Well, McCarthy realizing a couple of things. You know, he's got a couple innings left before this ball game could be over. And he's also got some help down there in the bullpen between Betances and Robertson, so he can afford to just kind of let it all hang out from here on out.
Two outs, base is empty, and here's Matt Joyce. How about that? Joyce saw the pitch to Franklin. He was primed for the hard stuff and got the curveball. Strike 1. Oh, foul ball on the cutter. 0-2. Each team with 4 hits tonight. New York leads 3-2. And Joyce out on strikes. Well, 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts, 9 strikes, and 1-2-3 go the Rays. With Larry Rothschild as pitching coach. I'll tell you, he was impressive in the bottom of the 7th. He does what a major league starter is supposed to do and more right here.
Well, 3 strikeouts, 9 pitches, the immaculate inning, and he did it with ease. Worked his pitches around the zone and made very short work of the Rays hitters.
Very, very impressive, Brandon McCarthy. So we'll go into the 8th.
Now that certainly states your case to Joe Girardi that I need to stay in this game.
Brent Balfour throws a strike to Brian McCann. You know, McCarthy's now had 3 9-pitch innings in this game, but that one was as perfect can be. Fly ball into right. Myers will go back and make the catch. McCann is the first out in the 8th. That will be Mark Teixeira. Balfour came on, got Jeter to end the 7th. Back out there in the 8th. Ball, no strikes. One and one. All 2 strikes, slider. And he had Teixeira hunting a fastball. Strike 3 call. I'm looking at the slider. 2 gone. As promised earlier, we have the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to hashtag #SunSportsFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Young looks at a strike. Cobb worked 6 innings. Gave up 3 runs, 4 hits, made 100 pitches. 1-1, a fastball down. Riefenhauser 2/3. Balfour got the other out in the 7th. Now 2 outs in the 8th. Two and one. Here's a strike on the corner. Alan Porter liked that one.
Can't drop that slider out into a better spot.
Shot again. Now it's full. 3-2. in the hold. It's short. Nice pick by ZOBRIST. One hops the throw. Safe. The call. Marty Foster calls him safe. Loney made the grab on one hop. It'll be interesting to see the explanation of this one.
Yeah, because it certainly looked like the ball beat Chris Young there, and that's exactly what Ben ZOBRIST is asking. Did he come off the bag? Because the throw's there. Heck of a play by ZOBRIST. A long throw, falling away. The ball will be there in time. Check Loney's foot. I don't even think that's close. My goodness.
Not even close.
I mean, this will be over quick. I don't know what Marty Foster is seeing there. The Rays just saw it on the Jumbotron, and they were all walking off. It was that easy.
Oh, my. So it's a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 3-2 New York. The bottom of the 8th inning. Well, if the Yankees wanted Brandon McCarthy to finish strong, he did that with 3 strikeouts on 9 pitches in the 7th, and he hands it over to Dellin Betances here in the 8th, facing Ryan Hannigan. This is a strike. Our Tampa Bay area Miles DeDealer's game summary. Jeter 1 for 4 tonight. Base hit, scored what is right now turned out to be the difference in this game. Evan Longoria with a solo home run and 2 runs batted in. Strike on the outer part of the plate right there. That's a tough pitch.
Yeah, I mean, Betances with that curveball, 82 miles an hour, and gets a little buckle action from Hannigan. You know, he's got the big fastball, the big long reach, plus stuff. He's a difficult customer to deal with.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
And 1 more strikeout, and he'll set the Yankee record for most strikeouts as a reliever. Right now tied with Mariano Rivera. And 130 punch-outs coming out of the pen.
stairs. 2-2. Jake McGee joining Joel Peralta in the bullpen. And a full count. Hannigan laying off the curveball. Kiermaier's on deck. McCarthy's immaculate inning in the seventh in Major League Baseball this year, including Brad Boxberger back in early May. Hannigan fights off a fastball at 98. He laid off a curveball at 84. Fights that 98-mile-per-hour fastball to stay alive.
And this is after being down 0-2.
Again, he's had 3 3-2 counts tonight. And he draws the walk. So the Rays put the leadoff man on. And we'll check in with Kelly Nash. Kelly?
Thank you so much, Dwayne. Today before the game, the Rays honored third baseman Evan Longoria with their nomination for the Roberto Clemente Award. And not only celebrates the life of Clemente, but also recognizes players who truly value helping others. You're looking at footage from the pregame ceremony. Each club picks the finalists, and who better than Longo to represent the Rays? From Reading with the Rays to Moffitt Cancer Center, Longo does it all. And to vote for him to be the overall winner out of all 30 clubs, just go to ChevyBaseball.com. As a former big leaguer BA, how do you begin to make time for all these community events?
The Rays have a pinch runner at first base. The first pitch to Kiermaier is wide. Brandon Guyer running for Hannigan here. Kiermaier 0 for 2. McCarthy worked the front 7, gave up 2 runs, 4 hits. A home run. He struck out 4, walked 1. Curve is in there to Kiermaier. Now 1-1. Back in with a look over there.
You got to believe too that Betances, that little move right there to see if Kevin Kiermaier was maybe going to tip whether he's going to bunt here, staring intently down at Tom Foley after that previous pitch. And a good base runner down there at first base. But Kiermaier, that's a big lead too. Big lead by Guyer.
There he goes. Pitch is pop foul. It's going to carry out a play.
You don't want to tip it that bad. You know, we always use the cutout as, you know, where you look for a guy to have a big lead. And when you get that left foot all the way out to the cut, your lead is huge. And he's almost stumbling. I mean, he's just telling him, I'm going. Out there again.
There he goes. The pitch is fouled away again. Boy, he's leaning. He's out there leaning and then trying not to jump out of the blocks.
Zero respect for the move of Betances. Zero. Not worried at all about getting out that far and the ability to get back. They're not even throwing over, and he's practically yelling, I'm going. And a swing and a miss. Kiermaier missed the curveball. And finally, the one that's not fouled off. He's not running. Those last two bags would have been stolen easy with a swing and a miss. This one here gets under the bat of Kiermaier. Geyer not moving, and he's still over there stuck at first.
Hitter will be Ben Zobrist. Ben singled his first time up. He's 1 for 3 tonight. There goes Geyer. Pitch, it's a strike. The throw, not in time. So Geyer successfully steals second base. Rays have the potential tying run in scoring position.
Now that lead not quite as aggressive, but a pretty good jump. And he's in there easily.
Hannigan drew the walk. Geyer running has stolen second. Zobrist had the big hit in the 9th inning here Monday night. Takes a pitch away. Hit came off Sean Kelly, giving the Rays a 1-0 win.
Notice here with Ben choking up just a little bit, have a little bit more bat control against the hard throwing Betances, just a little bit.
And there's a good pitch. Curveball for a strike, and it's 1-2.
He's able to spin that pitch so tight that he can start it just off the plate. Get a little bit of that movement back right to the corner.
Ball away. 97 off the plate. Yankees took a 3-1 lead in the 6th inning. The Rays got a run in the bottom of the 6th. Close it to a 1-run ball game. Chopper over the mound. That'll be charged by Jeter. Throw to first out there with Geyer headed to third. Two outs.
Ben just chops this ball over the head of Betances, but Derek Jeter right there make that play, and does get the Rays runner to third. Now an extra, a couple of different ways here for him to score. You start thinking about a ball in the dirt, perhaps. Nice clean way would be a base hit by DeJesus.
DeJesus tripled and scored the second Rays run in the 6th inning. Scored on Longoria's ground ball. Fastball low. DeJesus 0 for 2 in his career against Betances. He did have one other walk against him, or one other at bat against him, and he walked that time. But officially 1 for 2, or 0 for 2. 1-0 the count. 1-1 now. Curveball in.
You know, you're so ready for that fastball and have to be ready to protect against that pitch. He throws it so hard, and he's got such long reach that it jumps on you in a hurry. And yet he's able to spin that curveball so tight and with such good velocity. Catches a lot of guys looking.
It's 2-1.
Wouldn't even be surprised here if he came back with another one in the 2-1 count.
Strike call.
Or that. I guess if you can do that. I mean, the best pitch, we talk about it, fastball well located down and away. How about this? Oh, at 98.
Two the count. Jesus stays alive, fighting the curveball, fouling it. Ooh, strike 3 called. DeJesus caught looking to end the inning, and the Rays leave a runner at third base. Tight. American League wildcard update brought to you by Chase. Oakland up by 1. Kansas City in the second spot with Seattle a game back. Cleveland, Toronto, and New York hopeful, but starting to be a long shot. Joel Peralta makes his 65th appearance. Face Brett Gardner to open the 9th. And the curveball is a strike. Balfour worked an inning and a third, picked up a strikeout. No hits, no runs. Kurt Casale now catching. Hannigan lifted for the pinch runner. One and one. David Robertson in the Yankee bullpen. Cesar Ramos busy for the Rays in their pen. Upstairs to Gardner, 2-1. Peralta pitched an inning in the game on Monday and picked up the win. He walked to Scherer and then got the next 3 hitters. Comes back with a strike, and it's 2-2 to Gardner. 2. Lifted into left. Joyce is there. One away in the 9th inning. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Todd and Arestas anchoring the coverage. As it stands now, we'll take a look at the job done by Brandon McCarthy tonight. We'll have Joe Maddon's press conference and Kelly Nash, along with interviews from the clubhouse. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers. Stay with us for that. Here's Headley. Heading against the shift, and he looks at a strike. Headley doubled in a run in the 5th inning and later scored.
He's had a nice game. Had that big hit, that double that you talk about. Scored the 2nd run of that inning. Played some fine defense.
Foul ball runs the count to 2 strikes. He did make some outstanding defensive plays in the early stages of this game, reaching into the stands on a foul ball off the bat of Nick Franklin, and then made that play on Ryan Hannigan at third base to rob him of maybe an extra base hit and get him at first. How about that?
Almost got him. And Chase Headley with the little timing mechanism of swinging that bat, getting it ready to go before he comes set, and Joel Peralta, as he's known to do, a little quick pitch action right there, and almost caught him napping.
Comes back and strikes him out. So Headley is out on strikes. Peralta tried to get him on the quick pitch and then came right back and got him.
And this time Headley's waiting for it. Here comes the quick. Headley, he's like, I got it. No. Well, it was right there, too.
Two gone, and here is Ichiro Suzuki. Strike 1. Three runs, 4 hits for New York, 2 runs, 4 hits for the Rays. The Rays will have Longoria, Loney, and Myers due up in the bottom of the 9th inning. Strike 2 to Ichiro. Upstairs. 1-2. He's used it 3 times. The element of surprise is that he's using it so often. Surprised the first time. And surprised that you do it the 2nd and 3rd time.
Keeping him off balance any way he can.
And he strikes out Ichiro. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 1-2-3 go the Yankees. Longoria to lead it off. Loney and Myers to follow. To get to 90 on the year, will open the bottom of the 9th inning. Rays down 3-2. David Robertson, the Yankee closer, in from the bullpen.
36 out of 40 in saves, ERA 2.93, 86 strikeouts in 58 and a third innings, and you get the feeling that the Rays happy to see David Robertson after the way not only McCarthy threw, but Betances coming in for his 1 inning. This may be your best shot of the night.
Yeah, the relief that you get from Betances, if you're the opposing team, is that he's now out of the game.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. This is where you say, well, Evan Longoria right here getting a fastball, middle of the plate, middle of the field, and gone. How about one more?
Home run is 22nd of the year. 2 for 12 lifetime against David Robertson. Pitch outside. McCarthy 7, Betances 1, Robertson. Two 2-0. Middle of the order for the Rays. Ball. Fastball. Little cut to that one up.
Listen, when Evan takes a swing where you can see his cleats on the bottom of his shoe, pretty sure it was pretty big. Okay, take a look as he comes unglued right here. There you go. Yep, there. One thought.
Only need one to tie. And keep it going. Big cut again. Ooh.
I almost went for the high five. I really did. That ball cutting right into the zone. And the swing. Oh.
The 2-2. And strike. Breaking ball. Boy, 2 mighty cuts and then frozen on this one.
Well, you expect the breaking ball middle away, and you could see that's where they're set up to throw it. But that one starts in off the plate and breaks right to the corner. You're just not expecting that. Hard to pull the trigger.
Well, there's James Loney. Only 1 out of 8 with a double off Robertson. It's a strike. Away. 1-1 count. Two balls and a strike. Will Myers on deck. Loney battling Robertson. And Loney takes the fastball for ball 3. Two. Ground ball right side. Ryan has a come up on him, but he recovers it. Loney's the second out of the inning.
Well, here we go.
Will Myers, Ray's final hope. Well, he's got the power to do it.
And if he gets that same kind of cutter out over the plate, this could be majestic.
Will, 2 ground balls and a strikeout tonight. 1 for 4 in his career against David Robertson. The ground ball through the right side. He keeps it going. Will Myers singles the other way. And the Rays have a life.
Well, they had Will Myers kind of swung around to Sheriff playing off the bag. This cutter is away, but it's up. And that allows Will Myers to be able to reach it. Able to see how he's going to poke this ball right through the right side. Teixeira can't get there with the dive.
So Nick Franklin will bat. Nick last night made his Rays debut. 2 hits, a run scored, and a run batted in. 1 for 3 tonight. And he takes a big cut. Ooh.
Everybody is up there looking to leave, and I love it. Nick Franklin, his second start here for the Rays. What a story would that be? Pops one out of here and ends this thing.
He's keeping it alive on the base hit by Will Myers. Robertson with a good curveball, cutter, and the fastball. He's ahead of Franklin, 0-2. Franklin out on strikes on the curveball. Ball game over. Robertson picks up a couple strikeouts in the ninth, gives up a hit. But the Rays fall a run short. They settled for taking 2 out of 3 from the New York Yankees. Derek Jeter's final appearance here at Tropicana Field tonight.